Thank you. Thank you for joining us, for caring about Mother Earth, and about the future well-being of your loved ones and your neighbors across the street and across the sea. You are the folks who get it. You trust the science. You know global warming is real and a serious risk to humanity and all natural ecosystems. Not everyone does, and that's a huge challenge. You all know or probably have heard about this wonderful, amazing 16-year-old Swedish student, Greta Thunberg. We'll read from Greta's address to the United Nations Climate Change Conference. So Amanda, please come forward and share.
All right, I'll be reading Greta's speech to the UN Climate Change Conference titled Unpopular. My name is Greta Thunberg. I am 15 years old and I am from Sweden. I speak on behalf of climate justice now. Many people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I've learned that no one is too small to make a difference. And if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not going to school, then imagine what we can all do together if we really wanted to. But to do that, we have to speak clearly, no matter how uncomfortable that may be. You only speak of green, eternal economic growth because you are too scared of being unpopular. You only talk about moving forward with the same bad ideas that got us into the mess, even when the only sensible thing to do is pull the emergency brake. You are not mature enough to tell it like it is, even that burden you leave to your children. But I don't care about being popular. I care about climate justice and the living planet. We are about to sacrifice our civilization for the opportunity of a very small number of people to continue to make enormous amounts of money. We are about to sacrifice the biosphere so that rich people in countries like mine can live in luxury. But it is the sufferings of the many which pay for the luxuries of the few. The year 2078, I will celebrate my 75th birthday. And if I have children, then maybe they will spend that day with me. Maybe they will ask about you. Maybe they will ask why you didn't do anything while there was still time to act. You say that you love your children above everything else, and yet you are stealing their future. Until you start focusing on what needs to be done rather than what is politically possible, there is no hope. We cannot solve a crisis without treating it as a crisis. We need to keep the fossil fuels in the ground, and we need to keep focus on equity. And if solutions within this system are so impossible to find, then maybe we should change the system itself. We have not come to beg. We have not come here to beg world leaders to care. You have ignored us in the past, and you will ignore us again. You've run out of excuses, and we're running out of time. We've come here to let you know that change is coming whether you like it or not. The real power belongs to the people. Thank you.
Good afternoon. The doctor in my title is from a previous life. My doctorate is in biology. I was once a community college professor who every semester would tell her students how the climate is changing. I would offer the evidence, I would offer the science, and now I have come to understand that beyond the science, the work is about living our values. We are here today because our hearts are breaking. We face a terrible truth. We now face ecocide. We are feeling hopeless, and I'm here to tell you that if we succumb to hopelessness, to the inevitability of the climate crisis, it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Hopelessness is debilitating and action is empowering. Through action, we might be redeemed. Today, people all over the earth are collectively saying enough. Say it with me, enough. Enough. They are collectively saying enough, and enough, make changes now. Stop coal use altogether. Stop drilling for oil. Put the health of the planet before convenience. We are about 10 years away before it's too late, before monumental changes won't make a difference. To effectively address climate crisis, we must listen to our conscience. But know this, guilt is a poor motivator. Guilt is a poor motivator, but love is a long-term motivator. It can sustain. Love can offer the reason for continuing the good work. Love of the earth, of all that is green and verdant, all that swims, all that flies, all that sings. Love of these forests and love of the ocean. Love is how we move forward. Not a soft, gentle love, but a powerful, compassionate, justice-seeking love. This, dear ones, is the spiritual nature of this work, of redefining what it means to be human. We need you. We need leaders. We need artists. We need economists. We need old people with wisdom about how change happens. We need young people. We need you, students of PSU, of the high school, of the elementary school, of the middle school. We need your creativity and your innovation. We need historians to remind us how we got into this, how to avoid it in the future. We need lawyers to help us change the laws. We need the artists. We need those who write poetry with songs to inspire, to encourage art. Artwork offers courage to make clear our heart's fear and longing. We need teachers. We need parents and grandparents to fight on behalf of the children. Are you a business owner? We need business owners to make our businesses carbon neutral, to challenge others to do the same. Normalize the changes we must make to mitigate climate crisis. Normalize the changes. Normalize your solar clothes dryer. That's the one in the backyard. Normalize the subject of climate crisis in our classrooms. Speak it, teachers, speak it. We need our collective generosity. We need everyone. So please add your voice, your pen, your cash, your transformation to belonging again to the nature that created us, belonging to a planet that has always sustained us. And then when we do the work, when we push our leaders, when we protest, when we change our behaviors, when we grieve, because we're going to have to grieve, let us do it together, for alone we will surely fail. Support one another in these efforts, and when it gets too hard, let love and all of nature restore you. Let us breathe the oxygen made by these green trees. Let our ears fill with birdsong, our eyes witness again the beauty of this earth. May it be so.
Because the first thing I'm going to do is to say to you on behalf of all of those who are from my generation, we're sorry. We did a lot of good things in our time, but we didn't take care of the earth the way we should have. And I'm sorry that we're leaving this largely to you, but I swear to you for the rest of my life that I will make this the most important issue in my life. This is our moment. You look around at this crowd and imagine the fact that there are 10 other crowds this size or larger in bigger cities all around just the state of New Hampshire, and all over the world there are millions of people joining together to say no more, to say that we need a campaign that is run by the people of this country, not by the politicians who have failed us, but by the people. We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, must join together to make this happen. We, the people, must run a campaign to restore our planet, to restore civility between all of us. And we need to demand, as a radical centrist I say, we need to demand that our politicians, Republicans and Democrats, talk to one another and listen to one another instead of sniping at one another. Because only if we are willing to argue our hearts out, but keep our hearts and minds open, are we going to come up with the best possible solutions to these problems that we face. We need to restore the planet, we need to restore civility, we need to build a 21st century green economy with an education system that is capable of the challenge. So here we are today to say that we are exceedingly disappointed with the political leaders in this country from both political parties. There's been too much tinkering on the edges and not enough big thinking. I urge you, if you aren't familiar with the Carbon Dividend Act that is being put forward by the Citizens Climate Lobby, to check it out, because it is a bipartisan idea that is market-based, and I think will get us 50% reduction in a very short period of time and put money in the pockets of Americans all over the country. So the leadership has to come from us. That is the only way that it will happen. We have to say to the politicians that they must stand with us or they must stand down. And if they don't stand down, we will make them stand down. We will run for office. We will register voters. We will drive people to the polls. We will not stop until we have people who care enough about this planet to actually take action instead of just talking about it.
I don't know whether you guys know about the news that the capital city of Indonesia is right now sinking. That capital city of Indonesia is my home. This is the place where I was born and grew up. And honestly, right now that I'm in the States, I'm so sad to hear about that news. I imagine that one day when I would like to go back home, I decided to go back home, and then my home is gone. The memories that I built with my friends and my family is also gone. And right now, at home, it's already happening. It's already flooding everywhere. And I would like to believe that everyone has your own parts to strike about the climate change. And I would love for all of you guys to do your part and help me to save my city. Thank you.
What keeps me awake at night? I'll tell you what keeps me awake. Climate change is not just global warming, although warming is bad enough. Climate change is chronic and acute. Chronic heat and drought, acute heat waves and massive downpours, chronic shifts in ecosystems and the loss of topsoil, the acute destabilization of governments and economies, as we saw in Syria, the chronic and acute suffering of all living creatures on this planet, extinction. Climate change is a retreat into denial and delusion, a refusal to face a reality that calls into question and threatens to bring down our entire global economic system. Climate change, the fear it has caused amongst global elites, manifests as endless stonewalling and lies, and the eager willingness of millions of our fellow Americans to believe these lies. It's a retreat into comfortable illusions. No amount of lying and delusion is going to make this reality go away. Climate change is as relentless as gravity, and it is accelerating. Climate change is the destabilization of the world civilization of the last 10,000 years. The time for easy solutions is over. Dr. James Hansen spoke about this in front of the Congress in the late 1980s. If we had listened to him and acted 30 years ago, we could have avoided this predicament by putting a price on carbon and gradually phasing out fossil fuels, but we didn't. Entrenched economic forces have made sure that wouldn't happen. Now, according to the National Academy of Sciences, we are staring into an abyss. Take a look at that poster right there. We are rapidly approaching a planetary climate threshold from which there is no return on any kind of a time scale that matters to human beings. Once we cross that threshold, if we haven't already, there's no going back. Feedbacks in the system will take the planet into a hothouse state, that it hasn't seen for 50 million years. The world will quickly become unrecognizable and largely uninhabitable by human beings. A world without polar ice or glaciers. A world where the sea floods in and inundates coastal communities. A world where everything we've invested in our industrial food production system is lost. A world of relentless superstorms, heat, and drought, with 1 billion environmental refugees starving. A world full of war. Last year, the National Academy of Sciences published a paper, from which that graphic comes, that states that we may have already put enough carbon dioxide into the atmosphere to carry us right over that threshold. That's what keeps me awake at night. I worry for my daughter and her children and their children, if they have any, if anyone does. We have to change course, fast. There's no time left to waste. We cannot slow walk this. We have to build seawalls. We have to manage our freshwater resources much more carefully. We have to retool our entire food and energy and transportation infrastructures. We have to reimagine our healthcare system to get it ready for the heat and drought that are coming our way. We have to rethink how we deal with the many refugees who are coming already and who will come in ever greater numbers to our borders as they are driven out of the low latitudes by heat and drought and tropical disease. What are we going to do with our borders? Will we welcome them as fellow human beings and try to help them? Or will we descend further into fascism? Will we impose authoritarian measures at home? Will we fight other nations for mere survival? And yes, we have to reduce our carbon emissions to zero, to less than zero. We have to take carbon out of the air if that's even possible. That's what keeps me awake at night. We have a chance, not a big one, but we do have a chance, and we have to act now. We have to change our lives. We have to demand that our political leaders take this seriously and act as if it were an existential crisis, because it is. And if they won't do it, then we have to replace them with people who will. Thank you.